remember when I said Annalene Mummy God kept asking me about those people? I'm trying not to name religions here. I got enough people who want to murder my ass already. And then I told him I've never met those people. I've never met any of them. The only one I know of was. I'm not even going to say it. I can't stop. I have goosebumps and I can't stop trembling. I'm not. I, um. So, when I was a kid in Ackworth in elementary school, in the original elementary school, there was a girl I remember that died of cancer. Yeah. And I've never been able to explain that because I don't. What? Right? I now know that is a false memory. It was put in by another religious group. I have goosebumps and I can't stop trembling. Um, the initial memory I have of this girl telling me that she's gonna die, the original memory was her telling me that I doomed her. I doomed her. There were these girls. They used to wear these white gowns in Ackworth Elementary, and one of them had like a red cloak. She looked like the girl I worked with at Papa John's. Her name was Sarah. She had Sarah's like face. She had brown hair and blue eyes. And these girls were weird because they were freakishly silent, like freakishly silent, like silent, like the grave, like silent. And I, I, I wanted to play with them. I did. And when you went to touch like the girls in the white cloaks, like even if you were standing behind them, they would suddenly like they would giggle and move away from you. They were like trying to catch flies or something. Uh, they had a presence to them. I remember. I don't know if you've ever met somebody that has a presence to them, but they had a presence to them. Uh, like uncanny. The girl in the red cloak, though, she had a thing for following close to me everywhere I went, and everything I did. She was like constantly judging me. If I was drinking water from a water fountain, and she'd ask me, like, I remember literally like her words for like elementary school were like, "Where do you hail from?" Like, who the fuck talks like that? And I told her because I at the time I didn't know I was Zoroastrian. I told her I was Hindu. Um, and she basically referred to me as the unclean. Um, and I'm one of those weird people. I like taking in nature. I like taking in nature. Uh, and I got dude. I haven't had goosebumps in years. Oh man, this feels so freaking weird. Uh, so she she I was standing outside Ackworth. There'd be these weird fogs, really dense fogs that would roll in, and I would stare in blankly at the field where all the kids were during the early mornings after you get off of the bus. And I would peer into the fog until I could see the crystals of the water, and then I'd keep peering, and occasionally you would see these abstract forms that looked like spirits rising out of the ground and ascending to the heavens. And I was standing out there staring at it. And then I looked over, and that weird girl was standing there with me, and we were both staring at him. And then she asked me, "Are you sure you're not blank?" I don't know what that word is. It's a weird word. It makes no sense. And I told her no. She told me she was betrothed. And then she asked me to look back, and I looked back. Um, and we would go to class together sometimes, not all the time, because I was in the special ed room. And most of the time we ended up hanging out was, or we ended up in the same room together, was after school, when because they had the after school daycare program, uh, and she would sit beside me and we would be drawing pictures. Jasmine kept going over this memory like a million times, telling me there was no girl in my elementary school that had cancer. And Jasmine is right. There was no girl in my school, elementary school, that had cancer. Because this girl didn't die of cancer. She died because I touched her. We were sitting at the table drawing, and she had her hand near mine, and I went like that. I put my hand over the back of her hand, because I had never touched her, and I told her, "Got you." And she said, "What have you done?" And I was like, "What?" And then she was like, "What have you done?" And then the next day, she came in and was following really close to me, and she had this creepy smile to her, like uncanny smile. And she was explaining to me she had to kill me because I touched her. Yeah, like literally, she had to kill me because I touched her. And I told her we're not doing that, and she kept using a word for it. They had a word, like it's like sacrifice or something. And then she kept calling me a word. I don't know what that word is at the moment. I might remember later. But yeah, she had a red cloak, and these girls were weird. And I remember this teacher telling me like stay away from there. I came home one time, and somebody on my mom's front porch, and I remember I mentioned this to Jasmine because my mom denies it ever happened. Somebody had gutted like a live chicken and hung it upside down over the front door of our porch, and my mom thought it was this Jamaican cult because it's a thing they do in Jamaica that did it, but it was her. Because I was in my room and she was standing outside the window, and she would giggle and you'd look over, and I remember mentioning like you girls are like those horror movies where you hear child laughter and they run off, and they were like, I wonder why that is. And then she caught me one day. I was moving toward the special ed room, and because I was abused, like I said, I had a schizoassociative disorder. I started trembling. I started like, and I was still talking, but like my body was freaking out. And this is a thing with me. When I was a kid, I always had the shadow Bob. He was this twisted, gnarly, broken figure that was just. He used to say crazy shit like, "It's in suffering we are bred, and pain is the good stuff." Like just edgelord shit. And people, this isn't crazy. What I'm about to say. Well, this what I'm talking about is crazy, but this isn't crazy. My friends used to talk about this. When I got pissed at them, they would see me standing in their room, like just staring at them. And that was a real thing with me. That would actually happen. You can ask a couple of my friends. They saw me do this. They've seen that happen. They saw me do this. Ooh, I'm a wizard. I've had a couple friends tell me that, but she was like standing outside of my window, and she kept like calling my name, like trying to get me to come outside during the night. And I was kind of a pussy. I wouldn't go out there, and then I did go out there, and I don't remember what happened after that. But she later appeared wearing a crown of like twigs, like sticks, around her head, and she was smiling and laughing and dancing like around me, and I couldn't move. And then it happened. She hit me with a thing that was talk. She was talking about like my inner light. She was like, "You have an inner light to you. You have an inner light. Oh my God, it's so beautiful." And like, she wasn't looking at that at first. At first, she was looking at the shadow me. She hit me with this thing, and I was here, and then there was me there, and there was me over there, and the other me, the shadow me, the other guy, the twisted me. He she was staring at him, and she's like, "You have the beast in you." And that's like what she said. She said, "You have the beast in you. That is the beast. There is no doubt about it. You lied. Basically, you lied. You're not Hindu. I don't know what you are, but you are not a Hindu." And she told me she had like 16 days to murder me. Why the fuck does everybody want to kill me, man? I just want to live my life. Keep your religious shit to yourself, bro. I mean, even when I touched her hand, I told her I washed my hands first. I always wash my hands after I pee. But she, like, was, like, staring at my beast version, and she was like, the devil's in you. I see the devil, like, all this shit. And then she turned, and, like, dude, it was like, how Pennywise does the dead light stare. Like, she looked at like the light in my chest, and her eyes, like, she turned into like a corpse, and her eyes started glowing, and and then she went through it. She just started telling me that she was the betrothed, and she was promised her place in heaven, and I stole that from her, but she can see the light through me. Like, she can see into the light and see into heaven through me. And she was telling me, you're not a normal human being. Something, something, something. And then this dude, this dude, the weird fucking hats, man. The guy was dressed like a pilgrim. He was dressed like a fucking pilgrim with a white bib and a fucking hat. Okay. He came into my school with a crazy Chris. It was a dagger. It was a Chris style dagger. Told the teacher to leave the room, and then him and the girl were on the thing, and he was telling me I loved her, and I needed to confess I loved her, and I told her, I think she's cute, like, I don't, why am I on this? And I was high on LSD. Well, it wasn't the LSD shit, it was the shit the Santeria lady used, because this is the thing, these trips are different. Everything was black, and it was just me, them, and me on the, and this dude telling me he's gonna kill me because I touched this girl's hand. And then I told him it was not me. I don't know, man. I just thought, like, she's uncanny and weird, and I like uncanny weird things. I do. I like uncanny weird things. So he goes to stab me to death. And then the little girl stops him. We're like 12. Okay, this is maybe one of the oldest memories I have that was locked away for some bullshit. I can't, I but, she stopped him and said it was her. She loved me. And she was projecting it onto me. Okay, so this guy leaves, and she tells me, like, basically, she doesn't have that much more longer to go. And this is where my brain keeps saying it's cancer when it's not cancer. I did something and I got her killed. Okay, I did something and I got her killed. That's what happened. Okay, she was like, I'm gonna show you something. Basically, like, I was like, I guess I'll do that thing my uncle showed me I can do. And then she told me, your uncle never showed you that. And I was like, what? And then she told me, like, basically, she knew, like, I guess maybe she was some type of the Memphis chicks, like they have in this other religion. Maybe she was one of those for this other religion. I don't know. Because she could also throw her voice. Like, I'd be walking, and then she would, like, over here. And then I would turn, and then she would just be gone. But she showed me she could fucking teleport, and it's like a blink. It's like you blink your eyes, and then she's just over there. And I was like, what the fuck? And she was, dude, like, fucking teleporting around, and then telling me that I had to marry her. Dude, I was like 11. I was like 11 years old. Are you kidding me? Getting married at 11, lady? I haven't even got to meet my options. Shit, I wasn't even pulling my putty yet. I mean, I knew I liked fat women to some extent, but she was like, and then she showed me that, like, her as an adult, she would have been, like, kind of built like Sarah. She would have been, like, busty and thick, and she would have been, like, a ripe ass. And she would have did that for me, which is fascinating. But she was explaining to me that we had to adhere to strict religious guidelines, that she was not a normal person, and I was not a normal person. And she also didn't like me when I wasn't high on whatever drugs she was using on me, but she was literally teleporting casually. She would giggle, teleport, and then And she showed me some weird reality bending shit where she was like twisting reality with her hands. And I refused. I told her I wasn't ready for that kind of commitment at my age. And she told me I was a cruel man. She called me a lecher. She said, "You're a lecher and a cruel man. You're a cruel man to go around stealing people's hearts. Cruel man to show me this kind of light and that kind of a beast." And to wave that light and that beast in front of her. And I was some kind of jerk. Um, and then this next memory I think is a false memory. I think it's false because it makes no sense. We lived in the apartments in Ackworth, right? When I was like 11 or 12 when I met this girl, right? So the next memory picks up and I'm in my stepdad Randall's house, which is this old Victorian style house, and this portal opens up at the foot of my bed. I would have been about 13 or 14 when this happened. And she comes through it, but she's like a rotting corpse, screaming and reaching for my chest. And she is screaming, "Say you love me, say you love me." And I was like, "I don't know you, lady," you know. And then she was like, "No." But like, there was this ritual of these guys, man. This shit was freaky. Like, I don't even know when I saw this. Part of this was when I was president, I visited these people because they remembered her. I spoke to them, and they said they regretted sending her to hell, but they were going to do a ritual where they would bring her back into this reality briefly and then send her to heaven because because I was president of the world, and I was like, cool. But they wanted to see me do the devil's shit. They wanted to see me when you're both God and the devil. So you have to teleport, eat corpses, and do these like fucking crazy mind tricks, LSD things. And I got there and they were eating people's corpses. Like they had these guys that were tacked up explaining that they had lectured some lady and their guts were out. And he was telling me they didn't know I was Zoroastrian, that they used to rule America at one point. They were everywhere, and they used to do satanic shit all over America. And basically, it was that embrace the darkness, embrace the lightness, it's who you are kind of thing. And dude, these people, when they worship, it is like, like, okay, one of them was this lady that was like doing, like, just unnatural, weird movements, but it was silent. It was silent, and these people were just like, I guess you'd call it vibing, but dude, just moving, man. We're running out of time. We might have to do a part two. But they were doing this worshiping thing, and then this guy was like, "Well, show us your powers." And then I started getting unnerved by him because he had blood and he had like clown makeup, but he was funny. He kept making jokes. He made me laugh, and I thought he was really hilarious. But I also knew I was in danger. But I also thought that guy was hilarious. But I also knew I was in danger, and he started telling me that had they known that I was me, they would have never killed that chick. They would have never sacrificed her. And I looked him dead in the face and I was like, "It's too bad you can't bring her back to life." And I was all like crazy about it. And he was like, "Well, I didn't even know I remembered these things." I guess when they switch your conscious and unconscious minds, your unconscious mind remembers shit that you don't. I don't know. And we had this conversation. And they have a haunted church out in Pennsylvania. He wanted to show me that, and I never got to see it. And he was really funny. He was a really cool guy, actually. And they were talking about equality, but the problem with these people and why they killed that girl, why she had to be sacrificed, was they believe in equality if you're white and you're a part of their religion. And we're running out of time. She cursed me. Yeah. She cursed me that every time I fall in love, I'd never be able to get that love because I wasn't courageous enough to confess my love for her. Yeah. And then I ate, they made me eat some kind of root that had some heavy metals in it. It was like, whoa. Yeah. There might be a part two.